Have you ever stood silently at a funeral and asked, why did this beautiful soul have to go so soon? Why does a young child, full of innocence and joy, leave the world before they've even had a chance to live? Why does death sometimes come not in old age, but in youth, in the blooming of life? These questions have troubled even the wisest minds and broken the hearts of many. Perhaps you've witnessed a family shattered by the loss of a young one, or maybe you carry such a wound quietly within yourself. It's natural to grieve. It's human to ask why. But beloved soul, today I invite you to explore this tender mystery, not with fear or despair, but with gentle curiosity and spiritual insight. For there is a deeper understanding hidden beneath the sorrow, a perspective that brings peace where once there was pain. In the spiritual path, especially in the teachings of yoga and the great masters, we are reminded again and again, we are not these bodies. We are not these temporary names and forms. We are souls, eternal travelers on the journey of awakening. And just as some journeys are long and winding, others are short yet powerful. A soul that departs early has not been forgotten by God. It has simply completed the work it came to do, sometimes in a few years, sometimes even in a few breaths. This might feel impossible to accept when we are attached to the physical presence of our loved ones. But when we lift our awareness and begin to see through the eyes of the soul, clarity begins to dawn. This video is not meant to give simple answers or empty comforts. Instead, it will offer you a sacred perspective rooted in the timeless wisdom of karma, reincarnation, and divine timing. Together, we will gently explore why some souls leave early, and how their departure, though painful, is often a part of a much larger and more beautiful divine design. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and come with me on this journey inward, a journey of healing, truth, and understanding. You may find that the soul you thought was gone, was never truly gone at all. To truly understand why some people die young, we must begin with the deepest truth: you are not the body. You are not even the mind. You, dear one, are a soul. Eternal, ageless, formless. The body is like a garment, something the soul wears for a time. And just like clothes are changed when they become old or no longer needed, the soul too leaves the body when its purpose is complete. When we see a child or a young person pass away, our heart aches, and rightly so. But the soul within that young body may not be young at all. That child may be an old, experienced soul who has walked this earth many times before. The outer appearance, a baby's face, a toddler's laugh, a teenager's energy, may fool us into thinking they are new to life. But from the soul's perspective, they may already be very close to spiritual graduation. They may have returned only to fulfill one small, unfinished lesson, or to offer one last gift of love or service to another soul before going back to the higher realms. Life is not measured in years, but in purpose. Sometimes a full life purpose can be fulfilled in just a few moments or a few years. A soul may come simply to bring joy to its family or to awaken compassion in a parent's heart. It may arrive to balance a single karmic thread from another lifetime. And once that sacred mission is complete, no matter how brief, the soul departs. We must begin to see life not as a linear journey from birth to death, but as a series of sacred experiences the soul collects across lifetimes. Some chapters are long. Some are very short. But each one is written with love by the divine. The soul does not fear death, it only sees it as a transition. A movement from one plane of experience to another. So when someone leaves early, don't ask, why so soon? Instead, ask, what was their soul here to complete? The answer is often profound and deeply healing. To understand why some lives are short, we must look to the quiet, invisible law that governs all things, the law of karma. Karma is not punishment. It is not cruelty. It is divine justice, exact, loving, and precise. It is the law of cause and effect that stretches across lifetimes. Every thought we think, every action we take, and every word we speak creates a vibration, and that vibration returns to us in time, like a wave returning to the shore. Now, consider this: some souls return to this earth not to live a full life from birth to old age, but simply to balance a small karmic account. Their journey may be short because the lesson is simple, the debt is light, or the purpose is specific. For example, a soul might return just to experience the love of a parent it had once wronged in another lifetime. Or perhaps it needs to bring a moment of joy or awakening to someone who once gave it the same. Once that exchange is complete, the karmic thread is fulfilled and the soul departs. To our eyes, it may seem unjust. Why would a child be born only to suffer? Why would a young life be taken so suddenly? But from the soul's view, it is not a tragedy. It is completion. It is balance. Karma is not always something we can understand with the mind, it must be understood with the heart, and with spiritual awareness. We must also remember, not all karma is negative. There is such a thing as good karma, dharma, and even grace. Sometimes a soul leaves early because it has very little karma left, it has already passed many tests in previous lives and does not need to remain in the physical world any longer. Its early departure is not a failure, but a sign of near liberation. So, beloved seeker, let us not see death, especially early death, as a cruel ending. Let us view it instead as the perfect unfolding of divine justice and timing. The universe does not make mistakes. Every soul's journey is unique. Some stay long, some only for a moment, but all are guided by the sacred rhythm of karma and the loving intelligence of spirit. Before we are born into this world, before we take on a body, a name, or a family, our soul meets with higher beings, with guides, with divine intelligence. In that sacred space, beyond time and form, we make choices. These choices are not made in fear or confusion, they are made in deep love and wisdom. This is what we call a soul contract. A soul contract is like a spiritual blueprint. It outlines the key lessons, relationships, and events we agree to experience in this lifetime. It includes not only our potential challenges but also our possible exits, the moments when the soul may choose to leave the physical body and return to its higher home. Yes, even the time of death, whether early or late, is part of the soul's greater design. Now, this does not mean everything is fixed. We are not puppets. We have free will, and life responds to our choices. But the soul, before birth, sees with a far wider vision than the mind can comprehend. It may choose a shorter life to fulfill a very specific mission. It may volunteer to enter a difficult situation, even as a child, in order to bring healing to a family, to awaken love, or to shift karmic patterns that have gone unresolved for generations. Some souls come not for themselves, but for others. They are like sparks, quick, bright, powerful. Their presence may be brief, but it changes everything. A child who only lives a few months may still transform the hearts of their parents. A young person who dies early may become the reason someone else turns towards spirituality, or opens their heart to deeper compassion. The impact of that soul's presence may echo across lifetimes. So when we say a soul chose an early departure, we are not saying they wanted to suffer, or that they were denied life. We are saying they made a sacred agreement, to come, to serve, and to leave, all in alignment with the divine will. There is no tragedy in a fulfilled soul contract. Only grace. Understanding this truth helps us soften our grief. It reminds us that behind the seeming randomness of life is a divine intelligence, always guiding, always loving, always bringing the soul back home. In the spiritual realm, souls do not journey alone. Just as we travel together in this world as families, friends, and communities, so too do our souls move together across lifetimes, bound by deep karmic ties. When a soul chooses to take birth in a particular family, it is not random. It is part of a sacred soul group, a cluster of souls that are evolving together, often playing different roles in each life. Sometimes a parent, sometimes a child, sometimes a sibling or a friend. And within these relationships, deep karmas are often working themselves out. When a young soul departs early, the pain is not carried by them alone. The ripples are felt most strongly by the family, the mother, the father, the siblings, the grandparents. And sometimes, that is the very reason the soul came into the family. Not to stay, but to awaken something. To complete a collective karma that could not be resolved in any other way. Let's understand this gently. In some cases, a child is born to a parent who, in another lifetime, once harmed or abandoned them. Now, in this life, they return as the child, allowing the parent to love them, care for them, and heal that old karma through tenderness and sacrifice. In other cases, the child's brief presence may trigger spiritual growth in the family, a sudden turning inward, a deeper compassion for life, or the breaking of old patterns such as control, pride, or emotional numbness. Sometimes, families carry ancestral karmas, wounds that have been passed down through generations. And the early departure of a soul can act as a karmic release. As painful as it may seem on the surface, it often leads to transformation. It brings hidden emotions to the surface. It forces people to look inward. It softens the heart. And in that softening, the healing begins. The soul that leaves early may be serving a higher purpose for the group, not as a victim, but as a messenger of light. Their role, though short in time, may be vast in spiritual impact. So when you witness or experience such loss, ask gently, what has this soul come to teach the family? What karmic threads were tied here? And slowly, through meditation and reflection, the answers will begin to reveal themselves, not in the mind, but in the heart. Sometimes, when a soul departs this world early, it is not because they had unfinished karma, but because they had very little karma left at all. Not all short lives are the result of past depths or lessons to be learned. In many cases, they are signs of spiritual maturity, of a soul that has already walked the path of evolution through countless lifetimes and now stands at the threshold of liberation. You see, beloved soul, some beings are far older than they appear. They carry a deep spiritual wisdom, even in childhood. Perhaps you've met a child who seemed unusually calm, wise beyond their years, one who spoke of things they shouldn't know, or radiated a quiet presence that felt beyond their age. These are often advanced souls, here not to learn, but to teach, to give, to bless. Their time on earth may be brief, but it is filled with light. In that short span, they may uplift a family, inspire a community, or even become the silent cause of someone's spiritual awakening. Their presence, though temporary, shifts the energy of the space around them. Like a candle in a dark room, they shine just long enough to help others see. And then, they leave. Why? Because they no longer need the earthly classroom. Their soul has gathered what it came to gather over many births, and now it is simply passing through, like a traveler who stops briefly at a familiar place before continuing the final leg of their journey home. Sometimes these souls take birth simply to fulfill a divine assignment, to awaken love, to remind us of God, or to inspire compassion. Once that task is fulfilled, they withdraw silently, without attachment. They are not victims of fate, they are expressions of divine grace. It is natural to grieve such a loss. But if we could see with the eyes of the soul, we would recognize the early departure of such beings not as a tragedy, but as a completion, a liberation, a quiet return to the infinite. Let us honor these souls, not just with tears, but with remembrance, with silence, with gratitude. For their presence, however brief, is a blessing, and their departure is a gentle whisper reminding us, this world is not our true home. We are only passing through. Beloved soul, when someone you love leaves this world too soon, it can shake your very foundation. The heart asks, why? The mind struggles to understand. And grief, like a silent wave, can rise again and again. But as seekers on the spiritual path, we are invited to face this pain with more than just sorrow. we are invited to meet it with awareness, with compassion, and most of all, with a deeper understanding of life beyond death. First, allow yourself to grieve. Spiritual understanding is not cold or emotionless. It is warm, embracing, and real. Let the tears flow, but let them carry love instead of bitterness. Remember, grief is not weakness. It is the heart's natural way of releasing what it held dear. But don't stop there. Begin to ask, what has this soul come to teach me? What part of me is being called to awaken through this experience? Perhaps it's patience. Perhaps it's compassion. Perhaps it's a deeper relationship with God. When we reflect in this way, even the pain becomes part of the path. Let the early departure of a loved one become your invitation to go inward. Sit in silence. Meditate. Pray, not just for their soul's peace, but for your own clarity. You may discover that they are not gone. They have simply stepped into a higher room, beyond the walls of this visible world. And in quiet moments, in dreams, in stillness, their presence can still be felt. Love never dies. The soul never breaks connection. As seekers, we must also learn to trust in the divine timing of life. No soul comes late. No soul leaves early. Everything unfolds in harmony with a cosmic plan far greater than what the human mind can grasp. Trust that your loved one is held in the arms of spirit, not lost, but uplifted. Most of all, let their memory become a source of light in your own journey. Live more fully. Love more deeply. Serve with compassion. Let your life become the continuation of their soul's purpose. Let your spiritual growth become their blessing. This is how a seeker responds, not by closing the heart, but by opening it wider. Not by turning away from pain, but by walking through it with the lamp of divine wisdom. Dear soul, if you've stayed with me through this reflection, know that your heart is ready for deeper understanding. These questions about life, death, karma, and the journey of the soul, they are not easy. But they are sacred. They show that your spirit is awakening. You are not just living on the surface of life, you are seeking the truth beneath it. Remember this always, no soul is ever truly gone. They live on, not just in our memories, but in spirit, in vibration, in the silent corners of our heart. Love is the thread that connects all souls beyond time and form. And when we love purely, we are never far from those who have departed. In fact, they walk beside us, gently guiding, softly whispering through intuition, through dreams, through the deep peace that sometimes comes without reason. If this video has touched your heart or brought you even a small ray of clarity, I humbly ask you to pause for a moment and write in the comments. I honor the journey of every soul. Let this be your offering, a prayer not just for your loved ones, but for all those who have left early, and for all who are still here, learning to live with love. And I would love to know, what would you like to explore next on this path of wisdom? Would you like a deeper insight into what happens after death? Or how we can communicate with souls on the other side? Or perhaps you wish to understand how to break free from karmic cycles? Write your suggestions in the comments. Your voice matters here. This space is for you, the seeker, the student, the soul walking toward light. If you found peace or meaning here, please share this video with someone who may be grieving or searching. You never know how one spark of truth can light up a hole in a world. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe, so we can continue this sacred conversation together. Until we meet again in the next reflection, stay anchored in love, walk gently with awareness, and remember, the soul is eternal, and you are never alone. Jai Guru Dev.